Let's now discuss about another important topic, that is storage integrations. A storage integration is a Snowflake object that stores a generated identity and access management entity for your external cloud storage, along with an optional set of allowed or blocked storage locations for S3, GCP, or Azure. Cloud provider administrators in your organization grant permission on the storage locations to the generated entity. This option allows users to avoid supplying credentials when creating stages or when loading or unloading the data. Please note that if your cloud storage is located on a different cloud platform from your Snowflake account, the storage location must be in the public cloud and not in any kind of virtual private environments. This is the syntax of creating the storage integration. We start with create or replace storage integration with a storage integration name. Then we will mention the type, either external stage or Postgres external storage. We will cover that in the parameters required section of the storage integration once we had done the hands-on. But as of now, please remember the types are of two, either external or Postgres external stage. Okay, then we have cloud parameters like enabled is equal to true or false, default is true, and similarly storage allowed location. Storage block location is something which is optional parameter. It is not required. If you want, you can obviously mention something here, but if you don't want, that's completely fine. Similarly, comment is also something which is very optional, but it is highly encouraged to mention comment inside your storage integration, which is very relevant. What is the purpose of this storage integration? Let's see storage integration in action. For that, I will first go to my S3. I need to create a S3 bucket. If I am not having, I'm already having the S3 bucket, so I'm not creating it. Cool. And the second step is you need to create the IAM policy. That also I had already created. I will just show you that this is the IAM policy I had created, Snowflake S3 Access. And the third step is you need to create the IAM role as well. Okay, this role will be going to responsible to have the relationships between S3 and your Snowflake accounts. I had already created my roles. Okay, the fourth step is we will go to Snowflake now and we will build the handshake between S3 and Snowflake. For that, I just discussed with you that we need to have a storage integration. So we will create a storage integration, create storage integration. If not exist with the, let's say, S3 integration, Jaswinder, and the type of storage integration here is external stage. These are all the properties which are mandatory required to create the storage integration. Okay, and then it asks for storage provider name. So in my case, it's S3, and then it will ask for enabled. I will say it is enabled. Enabled is equal to true. And then I need to mention my storage AWS role ARN. This is the point which will ensure the connection is made. Okay, and I will pass my ARN number here. Then it asks for one more, which is storage allowed location, and I will mention my S3 path here. Cool. This is pretty much required to create the storage integration. I will just hit enter and run. Okay, I had ran. Now I am going to create the handshake. For that, I need to say describe integration name. What I need from this is I need two properties. First one is this one, storage AWS IAM user ARN, and second one is this one, storage AWS external ID. So these two are required to me, and I will copy paste these values and I will go to my role. Let me show you. I will go to my role and I will go to trust relationships, and here I will add my ARN which I had copied from this one, IAM user ARN, and I will similar way I will copy my external ID, this one GQ15001, and I will copy paste that here and I will update my trust script. In this way the handshake is completed, okay, which I had already done. And now once we had updated the trust relationships in AWS role, now we will create a stage. Okay, in order to create a stage, we need to say create or replace stage followed by my stage name. Let's say my S3 stage, Jaswinder, and then I will mention my storage integration. Storage integration is equal to, I will copy paste this, S3 integration Jaswinder. And then I will mention URL on which I am having my files which I need to stage here. I had pasted my URL as well. Okay, now I'm going to run this query. Cool. I had ran the stage. Now let's list the data inside this stage which we just had created. Perfect. So we are able to see the files which we had placed in our S3 bucket. I had placed this Titanic file, if you see here, and now I am able to see that file inside my Snowflake as well. Cool. Let's now discuss about storage integration required parameters. The first parameter is name. It is the string that specifies the identifier for the integration. It must be unique throughout your account. Second one is type. Type is either of external stage or Postgres external stage. External stage creates an interface between the Snowflake and the external cloud storage location like GCP, S3 or Azure. And the Postgres external storage is something which creates the storage integration for the use of Snowflake Postgres only. Okay, only one storage location is allowed for this kind of integration. This is very important to note. Third is enabled is equal to true. It specifies whether this storage integration is available for uses in the stages or not. By default, it is true. True allows users to create new stages that reference their integration, and existing stages that reference this integration functions work very normally. If I mention false, it prevents users from creating new stages that reference this integration, and the existing stages that reference this integration cannot access any kind of storage integration in the storage definitions. Next up is storage allowed location. This explicitly limits external stages that use the integration to reference one or more storage locations, either from S3 or GCS or Azure. So it supports a comma separated list of URLs for existing buckets and optionally path used to store data files for loading or unloading. Alternatively, it supports the wildcard, meaning you can allow all the buckets or all the parts if that is your requirement. First one is Amazon S3. If we have to mention Amazon S3 as a storage allowed location, this is the syntax of doing that. We first have to mention the protocol, and protocol will be any one of the following. First is the most widely used protocol, that is S3. Second one is the S3 China, and third one is the S3 GOV, that is only for the government regions. Similarly, for GCS, we have the storage load location URL starting from GCS. Then we have bucket and path, and we can mention multiple paths as we had already discussed. Third one is Azure. For Azure, the URL starts with the Azure. Then we need to mention the account. Account is the name of the Azure storage account. Use the blob core windows.net endpoint for all the supported types of Azure blob storage, including the data lake storage gen 2. Then we mention the container. Container is the name of the Azure Blob storage container that stores your data files actually. Okay. And then obviously, as usual, we have path. And similarly, we can mention multiple paths inside our storage allowed locations. That's pretty much about storage integration. This is very important when you are doing loading and unloading. So please practice this out on your Snowflake trial version. Next up is security integration. There are two things related to integration before I talk about security integration. One is storage integration and second is security integration. Both are integrations. Both are actually bridging the gap. One is bridging the gap between Snowflake and your provider, and security integration is bridging the gap between the security and the Snowflake. Let's understand the definition. Security integration is an object that acts as a bridge between Snowflake and external security services, while an authentication policy, which we just looked at, defines the rules. Security integration enables the mechanism for external communications. Okay, this is very, very important, guys. Authentication is for rules and security integration is the mechanism. Let's understand the core types of security integration. There are four primary categories for security integration, which is very important for advanced and architect exam. First is external OAuth. It is used when you want to allow third-party tools like Tableau or Power BI or any custom Python application to access Snowflake without sharing a username and password. Okay, the use case is if you want to connect a dashboard, so it uses the viewer's identity to run the queries. Next up is SAML one. This is the most widely used one, and more than 90% of organizations are using this way for security integration. And this is the most common integration for enterprise environments. It connects the Snowflake to identity providers like or Azure Active Directory or even Google Workspaces. The use case is it allows employee to just by a single clicking, they can easily go into the Snowflake portal. Third one is SCIM. SCIM is for cross domain identity management. It automates the user management. When you add a new data engineer to your Okta data team group, SCIM automatically creates the user and assigns their roles in the Snowflake. And fourth one is API authentication. It is specifically built for Snowpike REST API or SQL API using key pair authentications. These four types you should definitely learn: external OAuth, SAML2, SCIM, and API integration.